So I want to introduce Sarah, this wonderful faculty member here on campus, and let her tell you what her story and her journey is all about.
Thank you. Okay, so first and foremost, I just want to say Michelle is amazing. Round of applause. She's hardest working woman on campus, teaches our students so much, a great value add. I really didn't know how hard she's worked. We've had so many wonderful people in the position, but I cannot tell you how much she's elevated what this institution is able to do and how much she's trained our amazing students. So I'm going to make Ali sit here and blush and look around and say, this team of students that work with Ali and Michelle, amazing. So all the graphics, it's Ali. And sitting here talking to Ali, I can't thank you enough. And just every time I'd sit down, hey Sarah, what about this? Did you think about this? How about this? Maybe you want to rephrase that. Would you like to rephrase it this way? What do you think about? You know, man after my own heart. Just love that. Okay. So, colleagues, just all the years we've worked together and how far we've come, and the leadership and capability, and I work with the best people. I cannot thank you enough. So, the next thing, you warm-hearted students here that are sending me a good smile to keep me from being nervous, holy smokes, you're awesome. I can't thank you enough. Even the students that I've known since kindergarten now, you know who you are, my buds. And second mom, where are you, second mom? Second mom. Just always motivating me to give back, your leadership in the community, your ability to bring people together, and just, yeah, I really appreciate it. So there is a ton of people in this room that have walked with me. Linda will say, do we have to walk tonight? Can we just go get dinner? There are so many of you that have just given back and kept me sane, and, you know, been out there listening to the stories. But Jenny, you making me get back out there, even after a knee injury, holy smokes. So I just have to rat her out on one, because somebody said, do you got any good stories after all these good stories? Can I?
Yeah. Story.
The biggest, best one. The biggest, best one.
The helicopter?
The helicopter. The helicopter. First backpacking trip we went on together, she got hyponatremia, and there's a point in walking, there's a point in life where you have to just kind of keep going, right? Everybody gets that point where you're just, oh no, I have more to do? Oh no. And it all comes down to how much grit you got and how much you can pull from the bottom and keep going, keep your attitude up. And Jenny turned to me and said, I'm not feeling well. Actually, I feel really dizzy. And then a little bit later, I'm really not feeling well. And then a little bit later, do I just have to keep going? Is this like gymnastics? I just have to pull from the bottom and keep going? And I said, yes. This woman made it all the way to the bottom of the Grand Canyon with hyponatremia. We had a helicopter flyer her out, and I hiked out the next 2 days by myself. So there's your story. You got one this time, Tyler, okay? I got plenty more, but today is about you all. Today is about just how much I appreciate everything you do. And so, not last, not least, is my family. Anytime I say, let's go someplace, let's go do something, let's camp, let's hike, they're there. They're there. And so that man over there that looks like he's ready to be a ranger right now, he's wet. You're wet? Yeah. So he's the person that taught me how to tell a good story, and I'm still working on it. I'm still trying to catch up to that. And this person right here that wants to fade in the crowd. You know, every once in a while I should say, do we have to hike? Is every trip going to be a hike? I'm just gonna say, 3 days ago you said to me, Mom, I gotta get out into the nature. I'm going crazy. So I'm there for you. So a little bit about the work, just to give you a sense of it. So my father would like to say that the first time I left the country was at the bottom of a canoe at 2 years old. They didn't have a lot, but they knew how to make, you know, essentially what was in between jobs and adventure. And we used all of his old Army surplus Korean War equipment. And so we're talking about metal canteens and lifting heavy canoes, and we would go out into the woods, and that was our fun, and just move. So after years of this, I'm walking into Grand Canyon and we're going about halfway down, and I turned to my mom and said, wouldn't it be cool to walk to the other side? She said, you want to do that? All right, you want to do that? A year later, she dropped me off on the North Rim and picked me up 3 days later on the South Rim. That's the type of parents I have. That's the type of family I have, and I cannot thank you enough. So, when you're out there and you've done it as long as I have, you can't carry 50 pounds of metal equipment anymore. I've gotten the pack down to under 30 pounds. I limit and constrain everything. I leave no trace. Whatever goes in gets packed out with me, and that is everything. So I leave that to your imagination. That wall is what I'm able to see. I try to keep it super poetic, very small. You gotta remember you're going about 10 miles a day, then you get to camp, and that's if we're feeling good, okay? Get to camp, set up, make food, and you're ready to die, typically, yeah, especially if you got altitude. Right, so those of you that are younger, you know, my husband can still do 15 miles and kick my hiney. I'm sure you can go 25 easily. But for me, being able to constrain it to something I can carry and something that I can do and slow my brain down from the walk is helpful. So that's what I'm observing poetically on the trail. When I'm out on the trail, I'm also writing a little bit. But I try to constrain that as well, something that I can do on my phone, haikus, things of that sort. So when I come back, I process it through print material. So I constrain random bits of information, anything that I'm reading, things that I pull out to write essentially a little poet to myself. This is the bridge in between. So for my colleagues that are coming from geology and whatnot, one of them just left, this is everything I have collected sustainably over a lifetime. So my mother would make me go and do digs, and we'd sift the dirt, and I'd sit there for, you know, back and forth with the dirt, and then, you know, they'd find something and it would get archived. So we definitely pick up things, but most of it we leave. And I want you to do the same. So this is what I'm observing. This side is ocean to river. That side is basically rivers, plains to mountains. And then the bridge between the two. So I'm keeping it short. Did you guys have any questions? Thoughts? Did I do okay on the story? Did I rat you out too much?
Do you want to just say anything about what's behind the concept of these?
So, yeah, so on this side, after I'm out, typically it changes you quite a bit because you have a lot of time that you're like looking at your feet and then looking up. If you look up too much, you're stumbling. There's a lot of trying to get over scree and whatnot, so you got to be careful. But you're able to process a lot and slow your brain down. So with this work, I picked out one sheet from a very old typesetting document. You know how right now it's the little fox jumped over whatever? You know what I'm talking about, the lazy dog and the fox, da, 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 da. The old ones don't have that. They have funny commentaries about life from that time period. So I pick one sheet, I rearrange the words to reflect what I'm feeling internally. The printer is Workman. He influences how I think about getting on a letterpress. I did letterpress for 40 hours a week. It can be, tedious. And so one of the folks that left earlier said, the one down there stresses her out. And I said, perfect. That's exactly what I want. When you're setting type for that long on letterpress and everything has to be consistent and there's no indent and there's no marring of the paper and whatnot, to be able to flip that like Workman did, he actually would put materials on the press, nuts and bolts, all the things that you're not supposed to do that could break the press, to subvert what he was saying in a very difficult time period. So this is what I'm trying to do with that. It's how I've changed, what's manifested in me, that sort of thing. So my internal processing of it, that's what you're looking for, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
and because there's the subtext of the subtitle of Forgotten Places, Internal Spaces Forgotten.
Yeah.
Places which, in the whole process that you're talking about, hiking and that journey, there's the internal happening and then there's the external that's affecting you, or that you're seeing, right?
Yeah.
And then there's the objects that are around you. And so I just want people to understand the subtlety and why the title, besides the what you carry, it's the internal and the external kind of coming together.
And so she's also talking about the bridge between the two.
Yes.
Right? So sometimes you're actually walking on a path. A lot of times you're actually walking down a stream so that you're not impacting erosion, things of that sort. So it just depends on where you're at. And so she looks at it as a path between the two, and for me, it's both.
This is the path.
It's both.
Yes.
One of the things we talked about early and with Ali is like when you're out in these places, you hear from childhood, like when did they came across the Bering Strait? All of that is being debunked. And as a child, sifting, I appreciate this, I would think, why can't they have just been from here? Seriously, why can't they just be from here? You'd be sifting. Like, how could this not?
Maybe they went the other direction.
Exactly. Or why couldn't it, Pangea, just slowly? Okay. So science is one of those things that it's like, it's true, and then it's a work, and it's true, and it's a work. And that's what's so interesting about discovering and learning from science. That's why I love science. But, on the hike, oh, this is the Kaibab Trail. Wait a minute. I'm seeing shards of pottery the whole way. Okay? Or this is the John Muir Trail. What is it really called? And then, what is it really called? What was it called way, way, way back then? So it's kind of rethinking about your sense of space and your place in that space.
So that is a nice little overview, I think. But let's open it up and see if anybody has a question. Yes, Rebecca.
It's an amazing, movement, 4 movements that come together that is just really, I'm astounded about how it just interfaces and also seems separate. as you travel through. It's like you discover. And there's such an element of time layered to it, like, right, all time, narrative time, the visual movement, and this, like, such an inner. So my question is about the painting, of course.
Okay.
They are exquisite.
Oh, thank you.
I'm right?
Yes, they are. They're like little windows into paradise, each one.
They're just beautiful gems. So I'm curious. I don't know if it's fair to even ask a question because I'm just enjoying them. You know, thank you for making them. But do you come away from making these with a new idea about what painting is for you? Did it change?
Yes. It's interesting that you say that because, you know, with letterpress, it's such a controlled thing. And, you know, I did invitations for, like, government leaders. So just imagine fancy wedding invitations all day long, upon hour, making sure that these long names are all spelled correctly and all that. So the level of, like, detail that was required to this and then turn around and flip it on its head, I felt the same way with the watercolor. I've been doing watercolor forever, and a lot of them are just terrible. And then slowly I was like, okay, I need to think about it the way I think about this. So watercolor has shifted quite a bit for me. I don't feel like I'm anywhere where I want to be, right? You know, all the students going through portfolio right now are like, hey, it's got to be perfect. And it's like, well, it's never going to be, because then we'd just be done. So that's a lot of acceptance had to come for this. So that's why when you said that, with you painting, you know, how amazing your painting is, I'm like, so humble, thank you. But yeah, acceptance and not trying to control. And
There's layers.
Yeah, and on a hike, you can't control anything. You really can't, you know? You think you got a plan, and then nature throws you a curveball, you know?
Yeah, it's a lot harder to paint outdoors than you think it might be because of all the elements that there could be. You know, you could be sitting somewhere working on something and then just suddenly get up because you got ants all over you or something like that. You know what I mean? Just those little things that you just don't think about, or, you know, or maybe you're out there and you run out of a color that you need, or
yeah,
you know,
just gotta go with it.
Gotta go with it, right?
Yeah.
Do you ever use any of the pigments of the earth to help go into the work?
So contrary to what's here on the floor, I don't use anything while I'm out there typically.
Okay.
What gets dirty, gets dirty. The closest I would get to it is, and these all turned to mush and none of them are in the show, was raining like heck in Yellowstone, on the backside of Yellowstone where people don't go, just where the bears are.
Oh God.
The inside of my tent was like a floor of water, and so, you know, it's easy to watercolor when you just have water right around you.
Right.
So, but you know, those did turn to mush. So it's like that kind of, or it's raining and the raindrops hit it and you go, okay, yeah. So you can't control it. I also don't think I look at painting as trying to capture an emotion rather than an exact, precise space and place, because it's too expansive. It's like trying to capture it in a photograph and have it be exactly the way it should be. And once I gave up on trying to make it look like it, it started to kind of be better, look like it a little.
Yeah, right?
You know?
You have to let go a little. Any other questions? Anybody else have any questions for her or for me too? Yes.
Oh no, I'm gonna be grilled. Tyler's got deep ones every time.
So for your typographic pieces, how did your workflow change between your first piece that you made and the last piece you made?
Oops, sorry.
So this series, without the collage in it, there's many of them, obviously none of them got, it's just one. You know, we started out trying to set it perfectly, and by we, I mean there was a group of women all running presses at the same time. And at somewhere along the line, we're like, okay, let's flip it over. Let's print on the back side. There's rubber bands on it. You can see right here. So put rubber bands on the press. There is like leaf in here. And then sometimes we didn't re-ink, or I didn't re-ink, and a lot of, because everybody had their own press, but because I like working with others, obviously, like teamwork. And so then we started flipping pages, like, okay, everybody, let's rotate the page. So it changed on press, but we purposely set up to do that, as opposed to when I very first started out, where it had to be super consistent.
But I do want to acknowledge, again, like Sarah mentioned, I just want to by name acknowledge my staff who has, without them, this can't happen. So of course she mentioned Ali, who did all the marketing, graphic design work, thank you, and VCD work. And then I want to just mention Venus. Where's Venus? Venus has also done a ton of work for this show.
Hanging Supreme.
Cheyenne is here. She's an archaeology major, so she's not officially like, well, you are, because you're a minor in art history, so she's officially part of our college, but she has a whole other perspective of things that she brings to the table, so I'm excited to have her. Emily over there is architecture. She's one of my leads also. I want to mention also, I have some other students that aren't necessarily here right this second. Some were here earlier. That was John, and we have Armin, and we have, who am I missing? Sarah. Sarah's brand new. She just started Saturday, but she helped with lights, and she learned light design. And I just want to acknowledge my staff as well as Sarah for all of their amazing hard work on this show. So thank you all so much. And now, yes, please applause.